Hello and welcome to this lecture on Adobe Illustrator by Eduonics Technologies. In this lecture we're going to be taking a look at appearances in terms of applying them to other objects and the various ways you can do that. This is going to be a rather short lecture, so I might go into other things to supplement it, but there are a lot of ways in which you can work with the actual objects and appearances. And if you saw the last tutorial, you know how important appearances are. That they behave like the layer panel, which you've already learned. So something selected, I can turn off appearances, how they're grouped together. Now if I just do this, put an appearance on one of them, when I select the group, I won't see that. I might see mixed appearances. Let's see. Yes, when I double click on content, I see mixed appearances. Whereas previously, if I double click on contents, I see that since they all have the same appearance, they all show up the same. So there's a lot of quirks to working with groups and appearances. Luckily, copying them between objects is very easy, and there's a lot of ways to do it, so I'm going to go over each of those ways. And you just pick one that works best for you. Just follow along. Just make anything with appearance. That's all you have to do. The stroke and the fill on a group. And just follow along with me. So first off, let's go over what these buttons do. Add new stroke and add new fill. You don't necessarily have to just have one stroke or fill on something. This brings up the effects, which is the same as going up here to effect gallery. Pretty soon we're going to bring up the shortcuts. It's going to be a video later on. And if you've noticed me whizzing around, it's been giving you a headache. Well, shortcuts are how you can move quickly and efficiently. I suggest taking the time. Right now, it's a good time to skip to that video if you want to get a leg up and really start to fly in this program. Get them down before anything else begins to happen. Now, I have a transform appearance on this one, which is making it all wobbly like crazy. What if I want that same one on each of these? I'm making similar symbols, or I want something to overlay and make it look cool, for example. There's a lot of different reasons. Totally different shape, totally different appearances. To have a very thought out, meticulous appearance. It took us a minute or two to do this transform. So one of the easiest ways right off the bat, especially if you just want to do a basic appearance shift, meaning you're not worried about other things being lost because it does overwrite them, is just dragging the icon up here in the appearance panel of what you have selected over onto the actual object on the artboard. Now, because the object on the artboard had a black stroke, he turned it into a blue one. Another thing that happened is because this object, if your thumbnail isn't showing, just go to Show Thumbnail in the panel menu. Alright, so we've looked at how to just drag the appearance icon onto something, and that's kind of like a big sledgehammer. It does one thing or nothing, and that one thing is everything. It's putting all the appearance from that object onto the other object. What about individual appearances? And what about fine-tuning? Well, there's some other options we're going to go to. So if you've noticed, I've brought up the Layers panel. That's shortcut key F7. In the Layers panel, I've made two main layers. And I'm just going to drag these all down. Show you how to do it. You just take your layer. You can take the one you want to be underneath. I have GeoGuide is for ungrouped, shapes at the top. And Giogati is for the group shapes at the top. I want to show you how groups interact. So let's take a look at how appearance attributes work when you have groups. And the short answer is they don't, or at least not very well. What I would have to do is create another group to share a group's appearance attributes. So if you go down here to these target windows, this is a way to transfer appearance attributes between individual objects. Inside this group, you notice this is the only thing that has an appearance attribute. This is the only one that's filled in, and that's the group itself. So I could only transfer this to other groups. However, if I group these right here, now I have another group. I can take this, and I can apply to those, and that's what it does. If you noticed, it went off of these, so I would just hold in Alt, which makes a copy as you drag. The way to solve this problem, I'll select this group and ungroup it. That's the problem. The way to solve this is to simply select these individually and then apply your effect. Then you can group them. Now let's select these. And make lots of copies. Make sure you watch my tutorial on the blend tool if you don't know what I'm doing. I guess in copying a rainbow, can't use odd numbers? I don't know. But so we have an assortment here. We're going to expand that to make them into their own individual shapes. You can see the difference. With a line running through them indicating the blend. And then now you have each with its own anchor point and such. They're still not individual though, and it's great how Illustrator organizes stuff. So we're going to leave it individually grouped. What if we took these three, copied them, and pasted them? They're no longer part of the same group. In fact, they each have their own attributes, just as they did before. But we're going to get rid of that scribble on the fill. Down here, should I say. Group them together, and then apply a new scribble. Now it generally keeps the same settings from the last one. But now it's set to the group instead of to the individual objects. So here we have a group. And if we select that, we still don't get the group appearance. However, when we ungroup it, it's there. So it's a bit finicky. The important thing to note is that it's easy to move around appearances, it's easy to copy them, and more importantly, when you're using your styles palette, which is graphic styles, Shift F5, you can copy these individual effects. If I just take this shape and paste it, I can apply those same effects based on the fill, based on whatever.